Hello and welcome to season 5 of Fulham Fix. Can't believe it's season 5, but it is. We're flying, and also Fulham Football Club are flying, Ivan. Unbelievable times.
It's a joy to watch this team play at the moment, isn't it? Just the way we're playing. I mean, they're all playing out of their skins. For our brilliant manager, it's just, and they're all awesome. Like every single one of those players, they're just all so lovely and just so invested. It's what a time to watch Fulham, hey?
Right in saying that, playing great football and like a lovely bunch of people as well. And we've been opportunistic with that, and we've got quite a lot of that squad to come in this season and talk about it. So a lot of the playing stuff will be on this season, which is really brilliant because, as Ivan says, we're catching them at a good time. Plus, we got we're season 5, but we're not running out of names from Fulham's past. We're going way back in this season, like way back to some legends from the past and some more modern heroes. Not least, one of the greats in Fulham history, despite not actually playing that much for Fulham, weirdly, Jimmy Bullard.
Yeah, I mean, what a guy. And you say that, I mean, you even say, I think, in the pod, when we were like researching and sort of, putting the questions together and that, you said you're so surprised to see how few appearances he actually made for Fulham, because you think of it, you're like, 100 plus appearances, easy. And it's not. It's so weirdly low because of the impact he had on the club and his presence. You're like, how can that be? It's insane.
That's completely right. We say it at the end, but if it wasn't for Jimmy's goals in that great escape, particularly the free kicks against Villa, the free kick that lands on Danny Murphy's head against Portsmouth and so on, Fulham don't find themselves where they are now. So we've got a lot to thank him for. But he also left at the time, I wouldn't say it was controversial, but I think a lot of people were sad, upset about the way Jimmy left. There wasn't much comment about it the following season. He talks about that. And I think probably for the first time, he talks about it openly from a Fulham perspective. And so if you were sad about that, like me, or indeed maybe you were angry about it, you'll be interested what he has to say, because there's a lot of love for Fulham. He's the character we expect him to be. There's also lots of tenderness in it and also great stories, right? I mean, there's the Real Madrid away day.
I mean, it started off with an absolute banger. The Real Madrid Chris Coleman story is gold and just a joy. And he's just great to be around. And what's really nice as well, we've just done beforehand a podcast, which coming soon again, brilliant podcast coming soon on this season with Collins John. And when Collins John found out Jimmy Bullard was coming, he's like, I've got to stick around. I've got to see him. I haven't seen him for ages. And when the two of them saw each other, it was beautiful, like just so nice, like two proper old mates meeting. And Collins John, he stuck around for like the whole interview, and you can hear him talking in the background sometimes. It's brilliant.
Yeah, that's a good point to make. But when Jimmy references off camera, or he talks about Collins John, or someone's laughing in the background, that is the real Collins John, and embraced by brothers. But we'll leave it there. But just to say that Jimmy Bullard, the person you expect him to be, he is that. You can see why he's done so well and why he was such a energy and presence on the football pitch as well. He's so engaging. You want to spend more time with him. You can't help but get carried along with his stories. And he is a Fulham legend. Here's Jimmy Bullard.
Welcome back to the cottage. I think that's the first thing we're going to say. You were just telling me on our walk over here from reception that this is basically the first time you've been back since you left.
Wow.
Yeah. And I think, considering all the stuff that you've done since, telly-wise, everything, to have left it that long, man, that's why.
Yeah.
Because of my love of footy. When I finished, I really struggled.
Really?
The 2 years after was dreadful. The first 6 months was like, I remember I finished on a Monday. And I was at MK Dons. And that following Saturday, I went on put Gillette Soccer Saturday, and all my mates were still playing. My God. And I just took a dog out for a walk at 3 o'clock. And you're used to, long, playing in front of 30, 40, 50, whatever that is. And I was like, is this what it's come to? Yeah. And I struggled in my mind to, what's my next port of call here? Football I've had all my life. And I never used to plan that far ahead. So it just went boom. I was like, oh my God, it's dreadful. But I got used to it slowly. And because of that, I didn't want to go back to any football.
Yeah.
I was around some non-league stuff, which is a bit softer for me. But then I have come back to Craven Cottage once, and it was for Sky Bet. I was doing a little of a commercial gig, so it wasn't really. It was hidden in a bit of work, so it was a bit softer for me. But even then, even driving in today,
No way.
Nostalgia it brought back was lovely.
Really?
So I had my boy with me, yeah. And Archie was in my arms that year, the year before I left.
That tugs at the heartstrings.
Shut up.
Yeah, he's actually been on
That
the
year?
pitch. Yeah.
You probably can't get him in your arms now.
No,
he's a little bit
not.
bigger.
He's 18 years of age in Feb. Me and the missus this morning was looking for all the pics. How quick life goes, man. How quick. And we're in there. And it's beautiful. I just come in a new state. This is like amazing. I was going to bring my rods.
Yeah, it's quite hard to see now. Obviously,
It'd be lovely to have a dangle just stand there. I've got one. Yeah. Felix, I'm in. But mate, I love my time at Fulham, and I wished I never have left. But you know how football is. You know, sometimes it doesn't pan out the way you want. But honestly, my time at Fulham was the nuts.
Well, that's the interesting thing, because we think of you. You're a big name in the modern history of Fulham. But when we looked at it today, you played 38 times for Fulham.
Yeah.
So it's like, if I'd had to guess it, I'd have said you played 150 games for Fulham, the way people talk about it. Do you know what I mean? It's strange, that.
I didn't know that stat. See, I'm terrible with stats if we're going to go down the stat route today. But I signed under Chris Coleman, which, you know, phenomenal times. Steve Melbronk still here. Bar Morte, Bubba Diop, good. God
legend.
bless him, you know. It's immense time. Chris Coleman as well was such a character, and I absolutely love it. I remember the first time I met him and he showed me around down at New Malden. I was like, this is the club and the manager I want to play under without a shadow of a doubt. So that was my time. Phil Brown, Michael Brown was here. Who else? I'm just trying to go. Brian McBride.
Yeah, Brian McBride.
It's just, I just remember, I've got so many stories in my head.
Sure, you can share them.
That's some absolute blinders, but I just absolutely.
Can I prod you for one story?
You go on.
Can tell us myth or fact.
Go on.
There was a pre-season or out-of-season friendly. We went to Austria or something like that to play Real Madrid.
Yeah.
And you were hanging out with the Real Madrid team. And
Yeah.
the myth goes that you were like, drinks on me.
Mm.
And you ended up putting the drinks on Coleman's room.
Yeah, that's not a myth. That's true. A lot happened in that. Well, when we was away, a lot happened in that, and my mind just goes there. It was such a class trip. Cookie took us away pre-season, and you got to understand it's my first summer, so me being me, I want to make a few pals and like warm it up. And Real Madrid staying in the same hotel, and I'm like, Fabio Capello was manager,
Beckham
like, it was all there. I'm not sure if Zidane was there, because I've told the story. You know, you put some arms and legs of the story and say, I always find out Zidane weren't there, but it was still the first team were there.
Yeah.
And I was in the bar, and Cookie, I always remember Cookie said, you can have a drink, but don't go too mad. Good one.
Yeah.
So we got that, and Mark Crosley being there, he was one of my right-hand men. And I just remember, I was 3 deep. You know when they're flowing. And Cookie, Steve Keane was there, and I just went up to the Madrid boys and go, boys, do you want a drink? And I'm asking, got them all over, mate. I remember called Bex over, and it's just like, what do you want? And he's like, you sure? And I'm like, yeah, and all that. Anyway, say Cookie is in room 101. I've signed it on 101, Cookie, piled the bill in. And we left that hotel room. But a few things happened that holiday, right? Apart from having wild drinks with Real Madrid lot, which was weird. Also, we was on a golf resort. And I love my golf. And I was buying all the players wedges and Scotty Cameron. I remember buying Michael Brown and Scotty Cameron putt. He thought, oh, he's a nice chap. I was paying for all the buggies, room 101 cookies.
Like thousands of pounds.
Get on this, ain't finished. You know when you all go away, you're all in a corridor, aren't you? So you're all in the same corridor. They like to keep you all in the same corridor. It's room after room. Yeah. I was at one end. It was like a fresh carpet. And I got a 7-iron out, and I had a Pro V ball. I always remember it, pegged it up there. And all the boys are putting their heads out the window, like out the doors, sorry. I've got to get right in this, a blinder. And at the end of the corridor was a lift, a glass lift door. But they're all poking their heads out. And me being me, I've gone, put your heads out, boys. And I remember Bubba was in one. I've gone, bump, like that. It's just gone crunch. It just missed his head. Hit the glass door, put a big shatter up here. I'm like, all the boys' doors, they all shut the doors. I'm there, 7-iron. Big crack down this glass panel. Anyway, gone down in reception next morning, signed off to 5.5, it's like 5,300, 5,300 quid. Cookie's gone, Bullard! See Cookie like that. Got back to New Malden training. couple of days later, and he's pulled me. He's gone, Jim, do me a cheesy, mate. This is why I love Cookie, right? He's gone, you don't mind putting 700 quid to it for the glass window, do you? Let me off with the other like 4.5. What a legend, though. So he made he made me pay for my damage, but he paid for all the rest. You know what I mean?
Bless him.
You know what I mean? That was class.
Yeah.
But yeah, I took a right libby on the bill. That's good.
That's amazing.
Good, yeah.
That's incredible. Wow.
So true.
What was he like? Because a lot of the players we spoke to with Chris, they had played with him previously and he'd become a manager, so it was a different dynamic. But he actually signed. You know what I mean? Like
absolutely.
What relationship do you have with him? Was it as if you were players still together?
He was still in player mode.
Yeah.
Without a shadow of a doubt. But that's why I warmed to it.
Yeah.
I think he was a little bit raw, if you wanted. Even a great manager knew what he wanted. He was just perfect for me. He just said, "Just go and do your thing." He's put a big man behind me. He said, I'm going to put him behind you. Looked at him, he was massive. I was like, oh. He said, don't worry about too much tracking back. Here, stop everything.
Yeah.
The wardrobe, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so that was you to the middle, wasn't it?
It's just me and him. And then you said breaking as much as possible. In fact, I would drop too deep for the ball a lot of the time. And he'd go, Jim, I don't want you getting it behind the up. So I was like, always played. Basically, I was just playing off of Bry. Do you get what I mean? I remember I was that far up the pitch at times. I was playing like an out and out. Probably not a position, not a 10, but I was like, he was just gallop beyond, just keep threatening. I just want you to make things happen up top. So it was lovely. Like, how many managers say do that? That's how I used to play as a kid in a playground. It's very rare. Do you get what I mean? And I just used to love it. Honestly, it was wicked. You could see the smile on my face. Probably the most enjoyable times of my whole footy career.
Really?
That little bit.
No way.
Do you know what? I always remember when he got sacked, Cookie, I almost shedded a tear, man. Because I was injured. I got injured. Fourth game away at Newcastle.
That was Scott Parker.
Scotty Parker, just nasty one. Look, never blame any player. You're in it. You're in the game, aren't you? It is what it is. It's part of it. But it was a nasty one. Got my legs stuck and went over. But anyway, I was about 6 months into that injury. We were struggling and Cookie went, I think. And I remembered, put Sky on. That's the first I heard.
Yeah.
And he called us all in. But yeah, time really.
Yeah, it's funny saying, because Collins John was saying that who we just spoken to said that the next morning he did an interview actually saying that it was a bad decision to get rid of Coleman and he was gone immediately. So there's a lot of that feeling within all of you really, but that was
all the players loved him, man.
Yeah.
All the players loved him, even the boys on sort of the outside, if you want, getting a game here and there. He was honest.
Yeah.
As honest a managers I've ever had.
Really?
Yeah.
And it must have been hard for you being injured as well, because he's the sort of manager you really want to fight for. You want to be on that pitch every game, trying to, you really are playing for him at that point.
You're spot on. Absolutely loved, honestly. And I'm not doing it for the camera. Well, I do a lot of pods and this and that, but he was the nuts. It was really good time for me. Loved it.
We spoke to Danny Murphy about the Great Escape and other things and what that team went on to do. He said just directly, we would not have got out of that without Jimmy Bullard. He was the reason that we got out of that.
Did you?
Have you seen that?
A lot of my boys here are big Fulham fans. Been here. Gary Dunn, big shout out. He's probably up in the stand today. But yeah, he sent me a clip. Loads of clips. It was lovely words. I phoned Dan straight up after. I said, Dan, I didn't ever know you felt that about... when your peers say it about you, that's better than any manager, no disrespect, any fan. When your peers you're playing alongside say that, the words he used and what he said was like, wow. So I phoned him. It was really nice.
Did you phone him after that?
Yeah, I phoned him. Yeah. Tried to get him on Golf Life as well, but I phoned him. Phoned him for that, because it's lovely. Do you know what I mean? And Dan was one of the best players I've ever played with. Do you know what I mean? Along with Steed. Them two were epic. But yeah, lovely words. And when your peers talk about you like that, it's mustard.
Yeah, the way he speaks, especially, obviously we went into great detail with him about the Great Escape. And I think he went as far as to say he didn't think it would have been possible without you and having your input. Even down to, he said, you got the players feeling low in the dressing room or just need to pick me up. I think he said you'd hoist the shorts up, do a dance and just get them laughing. And that's coming from, obviously, the captain, not just of Fulham, but of Liverpool. It's
timing that. I come back from injury as well, which I think is massive. And Brian did.
Yeah.
Brian as well. Without the team, you're nothing. We all know that. But my timing was really, really good for all of us and Brian's time, because we both come back from injury at a similar time, I believe.
Yeah.
And it was double impact. Not only just in the game, it was all the energy I'd saved from 16 months out. So it's like, I'm so lucky just to play. Don't worry about where we are.
Yeah.
get to play.
Yeah, like, I'm playing. I've been in that. It's hard unless you've been there. It's hard, and I brought all that enthusiasm, and I think that's what Dan was on about. My appetite for the game then it might not have been the same if I come back 3 months before.
Right?
Do you get what I mean? But it was like appetite, bang.
Yeah.
I just made a big. And Dan, it wasn't even on the pitch. It was in a change room around training, and I loved it. And we had characters like Bob, Dan, Conch was another big character in the changing room. He was great for us. But Brian as well, I've got to say, up top when you could just play a ball round the corner and he just gets off. You ain't getting the ball off of him, and he could score vital goals. You know, it was massive for us.
One of the really big moments that season is the Villa game, because we haven't won for a very long time. Here, because we haven't won for ages at that point. And Hodgson's actually not won the first few games himself. Yeah. So it feels like at that moment we are definitely relegated.
Feels like
feeling, wasn't it?
It's like 70 I can still remember it exactly. It's 70 odd minute. Yeah. It's the loudest the Cottage has been, in the last 20 years. Yeah. And he scored a couple of free kicks in that period that sort of was the catalyst. Yeah. For all that. Do you remember the free? Can you see it?
I remember it. Of course I do, man. Yeah. Do you know what? It wasn't even that good a free kick. It didn't even go in right in the corner. Right. I think I give him the mincers and just sort of, he's gone and it's just gone in there. But I remember going to the corner of Hammersmith, didn't know what I was doing, and just done this weird roly-poly thing. It was just like, one of them got up and away you went. It was, but lovely feeling. Yeah. Obviously being at that time. And for us, I think we won that game 2-1.
That's right.
Yeah, it was. Look, whenever you scored a winner, and then you got Colin John there, the man who scored plenty of winners. Like, he'll tell you more than anyone, when you score a winner, and it's late, so there ain't a lot of time they can get a goal back. That's mustard. That's as good as footy gets.
Yeah. Is there a better feeling in life than scoring a goal like that?
Nah, not really. I've had plenty of hole-in-ones. My head goes back to other sports. Scoring at home, late winner is epic.
Yeah,
it's as good as it gets.
And that's kind of credited pretty much for the start of the Great Escape. That moment in particular seemed to be when it started. Oh my God! Well, I want to ask some memories of that.
Was that just like off the wall?
What are your memories of it? Because we obviously we've had a few like players like Danny Murphy who were involved in it, and also Roy Hodgson as well. Yeah. Had him on the pod and him talking about those moments. It'd be lovely to get it from your point of view.
Yeah.
City away.
Like huge, really. Huge fans watching it. You're living and breathing it as much as us. And it was like, because really, City away, half time, you're done.
How was that team talk?
You're done. Roy had a great team talk, that team talk. Well, everyone will tell you, he didn't say that much, but what he said was just go and win this half. He didn't lose his rag.
Yeah.
Which was, in that position, is quite unusual, do you know what I mean? And we didn't turn up City away. We didn't even give anything first half. And then we brought Joe on.
Yeah.
Changed. He was like, that game, it was like,
it was insane, wasn't it? Yeah.
He's got a drugstore start, right? And it's like, well, whenever
we'll put a disclaimer at the bottom.
Yeah, it's like, what is he on? It was mustard. It was just like that happened.
Yeah.
And then from that half, I think we just had a juggernaut of momentum. And I think we almost went, we're down to, can you swear on it?
Yeah.
It. That sort of mentality is what it is now. There's 4 games left. What it is. We've been there. So we've got no fear no more, and that's exactly what it was. It's sort of, we needed that in a weird way. And even though it weren't great at half time, we're like looking at each other going, come on here.
Yeah.
And that sort of mentality, but to win that 3-2, that journey back was
mad,
like,
I bet.
Have we got a chance? We're sort of going, have we got a chance here? Can we do this? Yeah.
It's weird because you watch the footage of that and it felt like it at the time, people were crying behind the goal when that third goal goes on. And it's easy to say now that was inevitable, but it felt, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, my mate who I mentioned, Danny, who's been a Fulham fan all his life, we brought a couple of other close mates. I had 10 of my mates behind that goal.
Right.
Game. They left at half time.
Fuming.
As you would. After fans, I think, fuming. 2-0, not putting a performance.
Relegated.
We're relegated. They're up in the Wetherspoons up the road here and hang on, 1-2, 1-2. I'm still going, like that. I'm thinking they're in there, you can't see nothing. 3-2, they're like, no, Danny's never done that since, I don't think.
Yeah.
But amazing, just amazing time, isn't it? Like, the Great Escape, probably the best escape ever in the Premier League, isn't it? Sure.
Oh my God!
I refer to it as the great escape.
And to fast forward, because we beat Reading. Oh, it was Reading, Birmingham. We beat
Blackburn. I know we had Blackburn.
But the last game, just to bring some synergy to it, you put the ball on Danny Murphy's head.
What was he doing?
Yeah, I know. I get. Well, this is it. We were trying to. Was that planned? You're like, I could see Murphy.
No way. Was that planned? I don't know what happened. Just ball on the right hand side, and I whipped it in. Big slap head, just like plonking there. I'm like, that's Murph's nut. What's he doing there? And he just went in. We just went mental on the side of it. I just remember. And it's quite a late-ish goal, wasn't it? It was like 70.
It was last 10, 15.
That's
right.
And I'm thinking, fingers out, boys, just hold on for dear life. And I remember the ball dropped to Jermaine Defoe, of all people, and it was about 10 yards out, and it dropped, and everything went slow. And he skied it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we've done this. I remember last 2 minutes. It's like last minute of the game. Keeper's got it, launched it out to me, and I've just tore off down Portsmouth, down the right flank. I don't know where I was going. I would have ended up on the seaside, I think. Just galloping with the ball, and it's like, where am I going? I don't know. I'm running to the corner, and the rest just blew. I'm like, yes! And then we just went mental. It was just so, it was bizarre.
I bet there were some celebrations as well.
Oh, it was nuts. I got some images on my phone.
Yeah.
Tony Warner. I'm going to give him to you in a minute, right? Tony Warner sent me the pictures where we all had like load of booze on the back of the bus. Yeah. But Roy went, right, don't go too mad on celebration. Me and Tone went straight up the bar. No, we brought like crates back. But we got photos on the back of the coach for you. I want you to put it out on here. Yeah, we've got them on my blow up.
Beautiful.
I'll show you them in a minute.
We'll drop them in.
That was wicked times. We celebrated. We went to Kingston that night. Oh, we was leathered. Absolutely leathered. Loved it.
Were you one of the clubs in Kingston? Or?
I think we chucked one of the backroom stuff in the Thames. I'm pretty sure, who was it? I think me and Tone grabbed on launch. Is he? I hope he's still here.
I think. yeah. In the Thames.
No, just in the world. Yeah, mate. Honestly, it was mental that day.
You saw him get back out.
I think
right?
so.
Yeah.
Oh, he's still there, but he's drifting through it. There he is with scarf on.
Oh my God! It was remarkable. It was a remarkable season, man. Unbelievable.
What times that was. He also sent me one of Maunders. Mark Maunders still there.
Yeah.
And Laurie Sanchez had a mid-spell. Laurie had this thing, he just wanted to decorate the place. He zhuzhed it up a bit. And Mark Maunders had like a load of white paint in his room. Walked in, just striped him with a roller. Come on, look like badger. He's like, what's happening? Just stripes him like that. He sent me a photo. I'll show you in a minute. As a blinder.
That's amazing.
What I was going to say is, you're playing for, you've got England recognition at that time. You're playing, like, you're in the England squads around that time.
Yeah.
How do you recollect that? Because, like, I remember thinking that was a huge deal in that moment of time to have a Fulham player that was in an England squad was totally unheard of. That's something that, like, George Cohen type thing was the last that we'd had Fulham players in the England squad.
Wow.
Did you have that, like, feeling within the club, like, wow, that's mad that...
Yeah, so when that come up, that was Roy was gaffer. Back then, I think they'd done like top 26, and then they pulled the 22 out. So I was in the group, not actually in the travelling squad. And I remember I played one game, and I played really well because Roy put it in the back of my mind, you might be going. And bang, got the call the next day, and it was a big thing. Well, amazing for me and for the club. I just remember, and Roy, we were just buzzing. Do you get what I mean? Still celebrating this day, really. It's getting England. It's getting the England squad, let's have it right, was like, well, just out there for me. You know, and then I turned up and all the big hitters were there, and that was just like, the 2 weeks was amazing away. And I come back totally different player. It was so much quicker.
Really?
Yeah, it was just ridiculous. But I remember we done like a keeper size this room. There's about 5 of us in here. Mate, I stood in the middle thinking, come on. And Bex was in there. I remember Bex. Sorry to drop a name in. Like, he was so good. Like, I used to think Bex was just like long ball, had a bit of a whip on him. All right.
Yeah.
I dominated one touch. Just like just.
Is he one of the best players you've seen?
Yeah, Bex was unbelievable. Stevie G was just all the names we know of. Rooney, they've not got these names because they're in the press a lot. They're in the press a lot because they can play and they can back it. And your peers will find you out before anyone. I've always said that anyway. But yeah, it was amazing to be around. And I always remember I come back and Murph said, "Coy, you've been with the big hitters, haven't you?" It just all sped up a fraction. Yeah, just that little bit what the big dogs bring to the table. But amazing time, yeah.
How do you reflect on it? Because it's like you were right at your peak at that moment, and you've got Capello and Hodgson, who are quite like tight managerial. Well, I don't know, you'll know better than me, but do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
They feel
definitely.
like. Do you feel like if you'd had someone else in either of those units in charge, do you know what I mean? Things would have been slightly different in both those situations.
Yes. Also, wished I knew now what I didn't back then. I'd have managed it slightly different, I think. But all what
do you mean by that?
I would have. How can I say? I would have bought into it a bit more.
Right.
Bought into their philosophy. You got to remember, I was a 27-year-old, really, really not hot-headed. I don't think the right word, but everything I'd done was forward. I didn't really worry about that.
Yeah.
It's just like, but if I made a mistake, that's just part of it. It didn't hold me back. I was still at a 60-yarder. Like, I did never play safe.
Yeah.
I didn't know safe. I used to love attacking. Don't get me wrong, I defend for the McCalls, for the team, but Roy and Fabio, but mainly Roy, was very structured. And at a way, and without Roy, we wouldn't have stayed up. So I get it.
Yeah.
But back then, if I see a gap, I'm running into it. I'm running off of Brian. Like, whoever's there, you can't stop me. I'm going. I've made it. I've seen the move. I've seen it.
Yeah.
And I just struggled really, and I was fighting it all the time. And then I'd fight it that hard, my game weren't there. And then players are looking at me going, so before I'm getting caught in two minds, I just went like that and blocked everything and went forward, which me and Roy frictioned all the time. But it's only for the calls, like, don't get me wrong, it wasn't friction as in I didn't like Roy. I didn't have that. It was just friction football. It was just like, it ain't working, man. It was horrible. Do you get what I mean?
I do.
And it was just, that's the way it was. But I wished I knew now. And you've got to remember, I do take some what would I say? I was 27.
Yeah, of course.
I was 27. I ain't the person I am now. I look back and I go, because I love Fulham that much.
Yeah.
And that was part of me having to move. Do you get what I mean? I didn't want to leave. I didn't. I loved it here. But things happen, and Roy wanted a different sort of player in there, I felt at the time, which is fine. Do you get what I mean? It is what it is. It hurts, but, you know.
Do you remember that? Sorry, to go on to that season and those sort of conversations when they started happening about moving on. Because, like I say, what's remarkable for us is to chat to someone like Roy, and he's quite honest about it. And he says, what did he say? It was something about, wanted a little bit more discipline from his players, and you were that, spark, and would do like you just said. But then you've got players like Danny Murphy who put it down to you being like the pivotal part of even just staying in the Premier League in the first place. What were those feelings for you like when you could sort of sense maybe your journey with Fulham was coming to an end?
It was tough. There wasn't a lot, as you said at the start of that question, like the chat. There weren't a lot of chat there. I just wish there was more me and Roy. Do you get what I mean? I just wish there was. It wasn't broken. The relationship wasn't broke. If I see Roy now, it'd be, all right, well, you know what I mean? It wasn't like, I don't like the man, I don't think he dislikes me. It ain't that kind of thing. In football, sometimes just happens.
Yeah.
I really do think that. What can I say? I'm trying to take my mind back there as well.
Do you know what's really interesting, what you just said that I've picked up on, is that I've never thought about it that way, that you had a positive instinct for attacking football, but you were acting out on it, which had got you there. And so it must be so weird when someone's telling you to not act on what is your natural impulse.
That's what it was. And Roy has a positive outlook on defensive.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And also offensive.
Yeah.
So let's not just think Roy is a defensive man. He isn't. He had to do it with that team, I believe, to keep us there, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But I wasn't that player to do that. Mate, I had some serious chats with Roy to say, play him instead of me.
If you want this,
mate,
done.
I've done it cockier than that, probably. Or play it like, play him.
Yeah.
That ain't a good thing to rub Roy up. Do you get what I mean? So that's why I wished, if I was 47 now, I wouldn't have done it in front of the change room. I wouldn't have done it in front of the boys. I'd have said to Roy, straight up, which I did do a couple of playing, and he couldn't. He was like, "No, I want to play you."
Yeah.
And then he'd bring me off with 1-0 up, and then I'd be like, "Why you bring me off?"
Yeah.
I ain't the manager. Roy's got to manage Fulham Football Club. I've got to manage me. But I wished me and Roy, I just managed that a little bit better. That's all.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you get what I mean?
I do exactly
it's
what you mean.
It's just like, and things, but I didn't know that at 27.
Yeah, yeah.
Hot-headed Jimmy Bullard that thought about entertaining, and that's what I was interested in. And, you know, I didn't care about losing in a weird way. I just wanted to go.
Yeah.
I'm playing this game, this unbelievable, wonderful game, you know. But Roy's in a different light. He's the manager. He sees it a lot different. It's really hard. It's really hard.
That's a beautiful way of putting it, though. Because I think that's just to bring it back to what we said at the start. I think that's why you're remembered, because like in a way that we feel like you played for 4 seasons, played 150, 200 games, because everyone, what the impact you had, you can see it almost in an artistic way, like the moments that you put in at Fulham, like betrays the numbers. Do you know what I mean? Like
100%. It does feel like when you give me that stat, I was like, I played more than that.
It doesn't feel right.
It blew our minds, honestly, seeing that. It didn't at all feel right. How was it for you then when you did? Like I said, it was very hard for Fulham fans. Was it hard for you to hear? Because I think Fulham fans were a little bit angry that you left at certain points. Was that quite hard for you to hear? I think we were back in the day when social media wasn't really a thing, so it wasn't like you could throw a statement up or whatever.
Yeah, I knew what foot was about. Look, I'm one of them. As long as my manager and my peers, I looked to them. I had plenty of chats in the house. And they knew how I felt at the time. I'm not... Fans get half the story.
Yeah.
Like, if I sat down with a fan, they'd understand why I left.
Yeah.
When I come in under Cookie, I really had a manager there that wanted to see my flair and let my flair, and it was like, it was everything. Roy was slightly different. We just didn't combat that. Do you get what I mean? Roy didn't. Roy probably sit here and go, "We didn't have to, Jim. I cracked on the following year without you."
Yeah,
absolutely. That's life. That's football.
But also between you gave Fulham what is the most magical moment in Fulham's history
for that little glimpse.
Yeah,
but Roy can't look at it like that, can he? Roy's the manager of Fulham Football Club. He has to look at the next year and a year after that. He can't look at Jimmy Bullard. He can't just manage Jimmy Bullard. Like, he's got to manage the whole thing. I get it now. I didn't get it then. At 27. Like, how am I going to get that then? And probably half the players wouldn't have got it then. Danny Murphy's might have. Yeah. Danny Murphy might have. Hang on, this needs to... but Dan was also around big clubs. Come from Liverpool. Come from a structured environment. I never had that. I come from Barry Fry. Go and do what you want, Jim. Harry Redknapp. Go and do... I come from that. So you can't have everything. It's not easy.
Yeah,
do you know
absolutely.
What I mean? It weren't easy back then for me. But time. Things happen. And then I was manager once at Leverett. I get where they're coming.
What's happening?
Yeah, you understand now.
Do you associate with modern football midfielders? Sorry, because I feel like when you're describing that, and I'm thinking back at yourself, in all these teams now that like are just given that freedom, that will, and you've got normally got those 3 midfielders.
I'd love to play.
You'd have thrived in this era.
I look now and it really frustrates me. I go, now.
Yeah, because you'd have run the games.
I'd loved it. I think it's more tailored for us now.
Yeah,
you can't touch them. I nick one in front of you, boom, go over. I got you on toes. Look, it's lovely for an offensive player. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
And the game's quicker, and it's Mark Hine, and strength ain't so much a game now. It's like, how good are you on the ball manipulating? So it's right up my straws. Look, it's what it is. And the dollar ain't bad, is it? We're all on tours, isn't they? What's happening?
Yeah, that's true, man.
Yeah.
What do you reckon? Nice way to end. Maybe throw a few sort of names at you and your memories of them, because obviously you've played with some massive Fulham legends.
I got one. Steve Malbrunk.
No joke. Probably the best player I've ever. Apart from Paolo Di Canio, the best player I've ever played with. I was devastated when he left.
Really?
Devastated. He was a player. How good was he? Like that. I'm so. I was gutted that I didn't have more. I'll play 1-2 with him. You're getting it back, right pave, right side. You would, player.
Wow,
player.
Do you have any personal contact with him? Because he's the one player in Fulham's history we can't find him.
Mate, you couldn't track him down. He wouldn't say nothing, would he? He's dead quiet on the pitch. Yeah. Just let his football do the talking. But that's why I loved him even more. He wouldn't give it a bigger, and he'd just turn up.
Yeah.
Don't worry about all that. That's my game. You just pop.
Clint Dempsey.
Yeah, strength, animal, like machine, mate. You don't want to mess about with Clint. It puts you in the stands, mate. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
Player. turn up, good player.
Everyone's got a story, like he famously punched a window, that kind of thing.
Just
like,
aggressive.
Yeah, I think Bobby was
just
saying
aggressive.
Would never say anything in the mornings.
No,
he was always stony.
No, but he knew he had it in him. He didn't really break in when I was playing, and he was always in, out, in, out. He couldn't grab any kind of momentum. You know how it is for football sometimes. But then once I left, you could see him. But he always had it in him. Really, really good, dynamic, real strong.
Yeah.
Brian McBride, I know you've mentioned him a bit there, but pretty special playing with him.
Weren't he? Just great up top, dominant, just scored big goals, great in both boxes. Also centre forward.
Collins John.
Yeah, I loved him, like character.
And if he wasn't in the room right
now, beast of a man. Always used to get on with, didn't I? I was always close to him. Used to always love his football. Used to have our little footy chat. He used to love like the technical side of the game. Great lad. We didn't have a lot of in the team. Trust me, it wasn't that club. It was nice. It was solid. You know, play here, King Road afterwards. Little pop down there, a little bite to eat, a few sherbets. It's like, what do you want? Do you know what I mean? What more do you want? It's lovely. It's class.
Loaded question, but do you have a soft spot for Fulham? Do you feel
soft? Massive.
Do you love Fulham still? Or is it like,
mate? Trust me, honestly, I didn't want to leave. I really didn't. Trust me. Look, well, what are we on since I left? How many years is it? 15 to 20 years, whatever it is. I didn't want to leave. I just felt I had to. I look back now, it's probably one of the clubs that I look back first result.
Really?
Yeah, really. I loved it. I still live Cobham. My first house that I ever. As soon as I bought and I moved to Fulham, we're still there as a family. Our family is still there. So it's real. This is where we made home.
I mean, you already loved him before, but I mean, after that, hearing him talk about Fulham, his love for the club, you just couldn't love him anymore, right?
No, you really couldn't. And he actually said at the end there, which is really beautiful, that he made his home at Fulham, and his son, who was on the pitch in those famous photos with him, was just tiny and was in the room as well as Collins John.
Which bigger now. Much bigger now.
It's big.
Bigger than Jimmy, I think, actually.
Yeah. But that was just a really lovely touch of it as well. Great to have Jimmy Bullard. We could maybe get him on again at some point, because I think that was before an evening game, and there's so many more things we could get out of Jimmy, I think.
With that, and he's definitely out. He even said that. It's like, you just get me on whenever you want. So it's like, yeah, we got to get him back without a doubt. When it's like, you know, season 30 or something, do you know what I mean? When we sort of like bring back some of the golden guests again.
I was thinking season 6, but anyway.
Okay.
Nice. Don't tell them, but tell them without telling them.
Okay.
We might be on next week.
Oh, man, next week. Well, listen, a couple of clues. It's a current player, very loved current player, which actually doesn't make it any easier, because who doesn't love every single member of this team? And another clue is he still rocks up to goals and does five-a-side, but in disguise. Kind of a ninja disguise, like, so that, you know, he doesn't give the game away that he's actually a Premier League footballer. And I think bashes in like 18 goals and tears the opponents apart. But yeah, that's who's on next week.
Great. So I'm looking forward to that. And in other breaking news, it's been, I mean, if you've been watching, listening, however you take Fulham Fix in since season 1, you will know that the emotional centre of Fulham Fix has become finding Steed Malbronk. No one seems to know how to get hold of Steed Malbronk or has had any contact with him. We've had a few attempts on the show where Ivan's phoned up French football clubs where it's felt like Steed. Yeah, I mean, it felt like Steed probably just didn't want to talk to us.
Maybe.
But anyway, look, he's become a more and more mythical figure. Turns out Jimmy Bullard had contact for him. And we've since found a phone number for Steve. We phoned him. He hasn't picked up. We left a voice message. Finding Steve continues. But if you've got any contacts, any links, get in touch with Fulham Fix. If you see us at a game, let us know, because we're like detectives on a mission, and we will not end Fulham Fix without finding Steve Malbronk. Okay?
Yeah.
So
even for him to pick up the phone, say not interested, and hang up, like we're cold callers, we've then found him. Officially, he's been on the pod, right?
Exactly.
But
Steve,
hopefully he won't do that.
Steve, we're coming for you. Fulham.